The way we do the most basic chords is we skip a note in the middle. This is called a third. The reason is that if this is the first note, this is the second, this is the third note. So a third up from C is E, and then we're going to go up two more, another third. And then we're going to do the same thing with D. E skipped, F, A. Same thing with E, skip the G, up to B. We're skipping the white notes. We've already skipped the black ones. They're not in the scale, so they don't even exist. Let's hear it. Very nice. But now we need to change them around, because if every song sounds like this, you're not going to get anywhere very fast. So how do we figure out what chords to put in what order? Well, we're going to start with this first chord. Because we're in the key of C, it makes sense to start with the chord of C. And because it's the first chord, we call it the 1 chord. That's useful because then the second chord we call the 2 chord, the third chord we call the 3 chord, on, until 4, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord. We don't call this the 8th chord because it's just a higher version of this, so it's the 1 chord again. So let's remove these chords. We know how to do it now, so we don't need to worry about that again. We're going to do a 4 chord phrase, which means that there's going to be 4 chords, and then it's going to repeat itself. We're going to start with the 1 chord, the C chord, because we're in the key of C, and it sounds very nice. We are actually going to skip here and go right to the end. And that might seem weird, but the idea behind it is that if you know where you want to end up, it's easier to figure that out and work backwards than to start at the beginning and wander aimlessly. My composition teacher always told me, figure out first where you're trying to go, because only then can you really get there. So, what is a good chord to end on? Well, I'm going to tell you, the most common chord to end on is the 5 chord. So that's going to be C, D, E, F, G is going to be the G chord. And then skipped B, skipped D. So we're going to listen to this and see how it sounds. Now, because this progression repeats itself, listen to how nice that G goes back to the C. You will have heard this a million times before because that is literally the most common thing that you will ever hear. So now we need to figure out what we're going to put in the in-between, and that's going to be your job. I want you to now pause the video, open up your DAW if you don't have it open already, and figure out what sounds nice. I am going to choose the 2 chord, which will be C, D, skip E, F, skip G, A. That's going to be my second chord. Then I'm going to go, I'm not going to use the 3rd chord, I'm going to use the 4th one. So it's going to be F, A, G, A. No, I'm wrong. C, D, E, F is here, A, and C. And that's going to sound like this. This is a really common chord progression, 1, 2, 4, 5. Do I know off the top of my head what chords are going to sound good before I write them in? Not necessarily. I'm sure there are some very talented people who can compose entirely in their head, but I'm not one of them, and most people aren't. Usually when you're writing music, it's a process of trial and error. You know, the most important thing in music is how it sounds. So don't think that you need to memorize what all the chords sound like and put them into your head. That's absolutely not true. Music is a process of trial and error, finding out what sounds decent, finding what sounds better, and then working towards a finished product. Let's try out some more combinations. Let's take out the 2 and let's take out the 4. What if we put in our third chord, the 3 chord, I should say. It's going to be C, D, E, and then F, G, A, B, and let's try the 6th chord, C, D, E, F, G, A. How does this sound? That's nice, and it's totally different. Even though this one and this one are the same, the 2 in the middle bring a totally different vibe. You probably heard me counting through the alphabet, C, D, E, F. I do this still, and I will probably never stop. In the same vein as not worrying about trying to memorize how chords sound in your head, don't try to be super fast. It's absolutely fine to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a G, or that's an F, or that's a D. I do it all the time. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So the last thing is, does this have to start on a C? Well, no, it doesn't. It can start on whatever you want, as long as the chord is in the key. Does this have to end on a 5? No, it doesn't. It can end on whatever you want. Different combinations are going to sound different. Some are going to sound stronger, some are going to sound weaker, but it's your job to go and figure it out. There's no rules in music, so go make some experiments, make some mistakes, and come back for the next video.